Yo, what's up everybody? Tony here, and welcome to what I hope is not too long of a video series. This is the road to Red Dead Redemption 2. So as of the making of this video, it's been 4 long months since the release of the first and only trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2, and Rockstar's been pretty much completely silent on the game since that time. I'm a pretty patient guy, but even I'm starting to consider cryogenically freezing myself until the game comes out. Wait, I'm being told that technology doesn't exist yet? Really? Are you sure? Well, I guess if I can't freeze myself until the game comes out, I'll just pass the time by making some videos about the game. With the road to Red Dead Redemption 2, I hope to be able to go over all the different details that we get on the game before release. Hopefully some video breakdowns, I'm looking forward to some new screenshots, just some information will do. As soon as Rockstar decides to bless us with some new information, I'll be all over it. But I guess until then, I'll just have to go over some other various topics related to the game. But with the game still slated for a fourth quarter release in 2017, just how much longer are we going to have to wait to learn more about the game? Well, I actually have a pretty good idea, I think, of when and where we might get some more information on the game, and some longtime fans of Rockstar games might just know what I'm getting at. Ever since 2002, one video game publication has had a very special relationship with Rockstar Games. That publication is Game Informer. Ever since this world premiere cover story that Rockstar did with Game Informer in 2002, Rockstar's offered Game Informer cover stories on most of their major titles, including the Grand Theft Auto games, Midnight Club games, Max Payne, and even more. And even most recently, Grand Theft Auto 5 had its giant info dump released through Game Informer magazine. Rockstar is a company that likes to march to the beat of its own drum. And in a world where most game publishers announce their big titles live on stage in a bombastic fashion at an E3 or PlayStation experience, Rockstar instead enjoys to hog the spotlight. By going down the Game Informer cover route, Rockstar basically guarantees all the attention to themselves on various websites, social media, and even TV. So with all of that said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if our first large info dump for Red Dead Redemption 2 came through a Game Informer cover story, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came very soon. But until then, let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's go back to November of 2012. Back at this time, it had been over a year since the original reveal of Grand Theft Auto 5. Its first trailer came out, and Rockstar basically went silent for the game. The fans were thirsty for new info, and outside of a couple of screenshots, I think, there were a couple of months where they threw us a bone with a screenshot or two. Rockstar pretty much didn't tell us anything about the game. With a release originally slated for March of 2013, it was pretty shocking to the fan base that Rockstar would actually go so long without saying anything new about the game. However, our prayers were finally answered in November of 2012, when the newest issue of Game Informer was released and the cover story was Grand Theft Auto 5. This was a mere 4 months before the original expected launch date of GTA5. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. If Red Dead 2 is slated for a Q4 release in 2017, let's see, if it follows a similar marketing schedule to that of GTA 5, we should probably be getting some more info at the very latest in around June or July of 2017. That would be about 4 months before October and November, which are traditionally the biggest months for video game releases, and that's almost certainly when Red Dead 2 would drop. So, unless they delay it, and if they delay it, I swear to... So anyway, flipping through the pages of the November 2012 Game Informer magazine gave me some real nostalgia and took me back. I was actually shocked at how much information we got about the game in hindsight. We got nearly 20 pages of info, screenshots, and artwork from the game in this issue of Game Informer. I think if we got something similar for Red Dead Redemption 2, the fan base would be really happy with that. So just to get an idea of what I'm talking about, I've gone and summarized 5 of the major announcements from this issue of Game Informer. I remember these announcements had myself and the collective GTA fanbase as a whole really hyped for the game. So I think it would be really cool if it did something similar for Red Dead Redemption 2. It would get us all real excited, I'm sure. Number 5, improved control. One of the surprising things about the Game Informer article was just how upfront Rockstar was with some of the things that weren't quite right with Grand Theft Auto 4. Despite the critical acclaim that game got, especially as the years went on, a lot of people started bringing up their dislikes and their issues with the game, specifically when it came to the game's controls, like how the car controls were a little slippery and the shooting controls felt kind of outdated just because of how many amazing third-person shooters were coming out during the last generation of games. So GTA5 rebuilt most of the gameplay mechanics from the ground up from GTA 4. 3 of the major parts of the game that they elaborated on were driving, shooting, and melee combat. Driving will be less boat-like, they said, compared to GTA 4, and shooting and melee combat were also addressed, and both were evolved, quote-unquote, for the title. This was a big deal for GTA fans at the time, I think, because most publishers or developers coming off of such a critical and commercial success like GTA 4, they're not going to come out and say, oh yeah, we did this wrong and we did that wrong and we're going to fix it. A lot of the times they just kind of leave it the same because clearly it worked well enough to sell like 25 million copies. But Rockstar was not satisfied and they decided to improve on it. So the fact that they were just coming out and saying stuff like that, like, yeah, the controls will be better and the driving will be better and the shooting will be better, this was some hype news at the time, especially for people who didn't enjoy 4 compared to the PS2 games. Another thing they promised to improve on was the online play, which is something I think a lot, probably the majority of people who still play GTA 5 are playing for that very reason, the online and the multiplayer. They didn't elaborate on GTA Online at all in this magazine, but they did mention that they're very pleased with the direction it was heading, and that we are even closer to nailing the fun and excitement of open world multiplayer. And I think it's safe to say, looking back on it now, that they totally delivered on that promise. Number 4, returning features from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So in the interview that was published in the magazine, a lot of the questions were about what features we could expect from San Andreas that were missing in GTA 4 that may be making a return in GTA 5. And they were pretty open with a lot of the announcements that they made in this issue of Game Informer. We got confirmation that ammunition is back. Many features that were not included in GTA 4 but were in San Andreas were making their triumphant return in GTA 5. We were getting bikes back, planes, and ATVs. We also received confirmation that familiar faces from GTA 4 would show up in GTA 5, though they didn't go into specifics at the time. But they also said that we wouldn't see any major characters like Nico or anyone from the PS2 games. So they actually were surprisingly clear on this one and came out directly and said that the 5 PS2 games are one universe, and this is the high definition universe, so they don't coexist. Which I always thought was a little bit unfortunate because I always wanted Tommy Vercetti to make his triumphant return, but I guess that's just out of the question. Number 3, graphics. Now this is one I think we're especially not going to be able to appreciate looking at now, but back in 2012, these were some of the best graphics we'd ever seen in a video game. I remember the fan base going crazy about the screenshots that were released alongside this article. As you can see here in the video, you know, they're not too impressive today considering we have next-gen consoles, and even just the PC version of GTA 5 totally blew the quality of these images away. But at the time we were playing this game on what would have been 7-year-old hardware in the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So the fact that Rockstar was able to get graphics this nice out of those old systems was really impressive, and people were super hyped about the graphics in this game. It was not only one of the best looking games of the generation, But when you consider that it's an open world game and not a more linear experience like an Uncharted or a Tomb Raider or something like that, it was even more impressive. Number 2, the size of the map. In this issue of Game Informer, one of the main points that Rockstar was really trying to push was the size and detail that was put into the overworld map in this game. Right off the bat, they explained that GTA 5's map will be a combination of the densely packed urban environment of Grand Theft Auto 4 and the large open expanses of Red Dead Redemption. So just hearing those two titles, coming together was enough to get the fan base super excited. But then they dropped one of the big bombs of this issue that I must have seen about 100 times on various different websites, and that was that Los Santos in Grand Theft Auto 5 is bigger than the map for Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and Grand Theft Auto 4 combined. That, I think, was the bomb being dropped on Rockstar's part, because no one expected the map to be that massive so soon after GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption came out. This wasn't too long after Red Dead Redemption, and that game blew us away with its size and scope. So the fact that they were telling us that this game would be bigger than their 3 last open world games combined in size was something totally, we couldn't fathom it. So Game Informer also talked to Rockstar North art director Aaron Garbut, and he spoke in detail about the evolution of Los Santos from San Andreas to GTA 5, and really went into detail on the overall evolution of how Rockstar as a whole looks at designing a map from the 9 years between the two titles. Garbut tells us that the reference for GTA 5's Los Santos wasn't an earlier game, but actually the real place of Los Angeles. His words are, "Our processes and the fidelity of the world have evolved so much since San Andreas that it's hard to think about San Andreas in those terms anymore. We didn't have the power to do this properly in the past, but it's an area we're always trying to push forward." He also said that the primary focus of San Andreas, its art direction and the design of the world, was gang culture, which they did a great job. But with GTA 5, Rockstar was trying to capture the contemporary culture of Los Angeles as a whole. On the topic of replicating an authentic look and feel of a real-life location, Garbut elaborated the extreme lengths Rockstar goes to in order to capture this authentic look. Their methods were greatly upgraded since 2008 and the release of Grand Theft Auto 4. They took over 250,000 photos of Los Angeles for GTA 5 and filmed many hours of video, poured over various online mapping and street view tools, among many other methods of extreme research on the area. But of course, the biggest announcement to come out of this issue of Game Informer was the news that changed the way we played Grand Theft Auto. GTA 5 will have 3 protagonists instead of the traditional 1 of the GTA and Red Dead games. Game Informer brought up the character of Nico, a character who was unwillingly sucked into the life of crime. Yet despite this character not really wanting to commit any crimes or be a part of this life in all the various cutscenes in the game, the player could go ahead and buy a rocket launcher and just kind of shoot up people on the street. So it really went against what the character stood for in the cutscenes, and Rockstar felt they needed to solve this problem, and their solution was having 3 different characters that could be all things to all people. We learned that you could switch between the characters at the press of a button. If they live far away, you could jump across the map instantly. The first character we're introduced to is Michael, who lives in Rockford Hills. Then we meet Trevor, who lives in Blaine County, which is a run-down desert region of Los Santos. The third and final playable character is Franklin, who's a lot younger than the other 2 characters. So after covering some of the story-related elements that this new 3-character system brings to the world of GTA, we got into some of the mission designs. Multi-tiered heists are a major factor in this game. Instead of waiting for the final mission like most other GTA games, you'd get complicated missions in the vein of GTA 4's 3-leaf clover mission peppered across the main story. Rockstar claimed that with this new 3-character gameplay, bank jobs would be more fun than ever, even though I love the one in Vice City. We even learned about secondary characters like Lamar, Franklin's crazy friend, Jimmy, who was Michael's son, the whiny, lazy, pot-smoking 20-year-old kid. We learned about Ron, who was Trevor's best buddy, and Amanda, Michael's wife. Rockstar presented a hands-off demo to Game Informer in the form of the mission Three's Company. I think that's a pretty good showcase for the game in general, as it's the first mission in the game that has all three characters meeting and working together in a mission. The magazine brings up Brad, Trevor wanting to get him out of jail, and Michael replying, "We'll talk about Brad later." Again, in hindsight, it's pretty amazing how much they told us about the story of GTA 5 in one single magazine feature. So I hope you were entertained by this quick look back at the pre-launch hype cycle for Grand Theft Auto 5. Hopefully it brought back some happy memories. If you like this video and want more content related to Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, and everything to do with Rockstar Games, please like this video and subscribe to this channel because I have a lot more planned. In the coming week, I'll be releasing another episode of The Road to Red Dead Redemption 2, where I'm going to meticulously go over the teaser trailer from 4 months ago, and bring up a couple of Easter eggs that you might not have noticed the first time around. When we finally get some new info on Red Dead 2, expect a detailed breakdown video just like this one. Until then, this is Tony from Strong Style Gaming Network. Peace out.